Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this very special session of D-Talks or Disruptive Literacy Talks. I'm Mashood Bhatt, your host. And today we have a very special and very eminent guest on D-Talks. He is a leading educationist and he is a leading figure in education in South Asia. He's also the Minister of State for Education, the Republic of Maldives. The speaker today has been a very prominent and distinguished educationist with more than 30 years of experience in the field of education. He started his journey as a principal of government school and is now leading the whole Ministry of Education in his country. He's also been a former vice rector of Avid College and is currently the head of the National Institute of Education in Maldives. And he is also the Global Goodwill Ambassador of the International Education Advisory Council. It is an absolute honor for us to welcome Dr. Abdullah Rashid Ahmed, sir, to this session of D-Talks. Dr. Abdullah, sir, thank you so much for giving your valuable time on this session today.
Thank you, Mr. Mashood. It's really a pleasure to be here with you and share my experience and my knowledge regarding the theme.
Thank you. Dr. Abdullah Rashid is going to start today's session by having a very wonderful presentation which he has created on literacy and numeracy with learning to learn, the road to success in learning. And I think it's a very important topic which sir will be touching on today and sharing his perspectives from Maldives, because learning to learn itself is a very important skill which we need to teach our children. And there's a lot that we can learn from today's session as well. So sir, the stage is yours. I am sharing my screen right now for the presentation here.
Okay, thank you. Okay, once again, thank you so much, Mashood. I'm going to talk about literacy and numeracy with learning to learn, the road to success in learning. I can say this is a very important theme. The two concepts here you can see, literacy and numeracy, and also learning to learn. This is the road in which students can be successful in learning and as well as in life. So let's look at what I'm going to share with you all in this evening. Here you can see in the previous slide, Mr. Mashood, could you please go to the previous slide? Yes, thank you. Here you can see a picture of learning to learn, or how to learn. Yes, how to learn. This is the most important. Normally, teachers just to teach the students. Here, the point is we have to teach students how to learn. Then only they can be successful. They can be independent. Many times we can see that teachers try to make students learn. But my point is, rather than trying to make students learn, teachers' job should be to teach the students how to learn. Then after that, they will learn independently. They will not be dependent on the teachers. Next slide. Here, very famous saying you can see: give a man a fish, feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, feed him for a life. So this is my point. If the teachers are just spoon feeding and making students learn, always students will be dependent on the teacher. They will never be independent. So what we need to do is, rather than giving them a fish, we have to teach them how to fish. Then they will be successful. They will be learning themselves. So that is why this concept learning to learn is important. Next slide. Let's look at what learning to learn means. Learning to learn is the ability to pursue and persistent in learning, to organize one's own learning, including through effective management of time and information, both individually and in groups. When students are given freedom, when they are given autonomy, they will manage their time. They can decide how they will learn. Teachers can tell them what to learn, but not how to learn, when to learn, where to learn. This can be decided by the student. Then only their creativity, and they will have their own way to learn. Therefore, once again, in my experience and my knowledge, I can say it is far better to give students autonomy and make them independent learners rather than dependent. You can see two types of teaching. One is teacher-centered, the other one is learner-centered, where I'm talking about the importance of learner-centered teaching. In the learner-centered teaching, or learner-centered learning, learners are leading their own learning. So that is what we really need in order to prepare our students for life. Next. Learning to learn strategies include any thoughts, behaviors, beliefs, or emotions that facilitate acquisition, understanding, or later application and transfer of new knowledge and skills in different performance contexts. So this is the point which is important. When students know how to learn and understand, then they will be able to apply it in another situation. They will have their own strategies. They can decide how to learn, and how much time they can take, and what would be the strategies they can do. Then only they will really understand. They can make meaning of what they learn. Otherwise, some students, they may go for rote learning or memorizing without understanding. But this way, when we teach students how to learn, they are learning with understanding, so they can create their own knowledge according to constructivism. Students should construct their own learning. So that is the point here. And teachers' role should be facilitators, facilitating students how to learn. Next. Importance of learn to learn according to PISA. That is, as you all know, programs for international student assessment, has found that learners' belief in their own efficacy is the strongest single predictor of whether they will adopt strategies that make learning effective. It is not the teacher who can dictate a kind of strategy that student learn. Student can decide, as I'm repeatedly saying, what kind of strategy, whether they can learn by reading, whether it is by writing or listening or watching or doing. Therefore, as PISA also said, that students can adopt strategies that make learning effective. For different students, different strategies will work. As we all know, one size does not fit. Therefore, if the teacher asks all the students read, or all the students write, or all the students do any particular exercise, rather than doing that, we have to leave it for the students. We should be individualized. Each and every student is an individual student. Therefore, autonomy and independence is most important. Next. Why learning to learn? Learning to learn leads to a lifelong learner. If teachers are spoon feeding, then after students leave the school, they will not continue. They will never be a lifelong learner. But if teachers are facilitating and teaching how to learn, then they will be lifelong learners. When they become employees or employers, they continue in learning. So that is why it is important. And different students have different learning styles. Some may be auditory learners, the others may be kinesthetic learners, the others may be visual learners. Then when we give the autonomy to the students, they can learn according to their preferred style. And another important thing is, we all know, according to Howard Gardner, students have multiple intelligence. Different students have different types of intelligence. So when we give autonomy to the students, they will learn the concepts according to their preferred, by using their preferred intelligence. And another thing is transfer the learning. A new context is important. This can happen only when students construct their own learning. To be creative and innovative, fast learning speed is needed. 21st century, the most important things are 21st century skills like creativity, innovation, problem solving, collaboration. These things also can happen when we teach students how to learn. Next, please. Here you can see creativity in more developed countries. In the work or in the employment, it is more creative work. But in less developed countries, routine work done by people or routine work done by machines. But developed countries, creative work. If we really prepare our students as creative and innovative employees and employers, then they should be critical thinkers, creative entrepreneurs. This can happen by giving them autonomy and teach them how to learn. Then they will learn in their own. When situation changes, they will learn. When the customer needs, or when the market changes, or when the technology changes, they will continuously learn. That is why learning to learn is important. Next. Here you can see real life examples who are very rich, whose companies are at the top of the most successful companies. If you look at the if it is Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Larry Page, and Tim Cook, all these people, all these companies, how they become rich, we all know that is because of creativity and innovation. Therefore, if we prepare our students and our young people as successful, who are ready for 21st century employment, then they should be critical thinkers. They should be creative entrepreneurs and problem solvers. So we can't prepare them in 21st century employment by using rote learning and memorizing without understanding. Next. Importance of literacy and numeracy. Literacy and numeracy are the cornerstone of learning and development. I'm sure you all agree with me. These are the tools to learn everything else. If somebody can't read, somebody can't write, then there is no way that other things can be learned. Literacy and numeracy enable child to read, write, and make meanings. Why we all say that the cornerstone of learning is literacy and numeracy. Next. Students who struggle with literacy and numeracy feel disliked from academia, avoid situations where they may be discovered, or find themselves unable to fully participate in society or employment. Self-confidence and motivation to learn are related to this. The practicing teachers and principals know that there are any school, there may be some students who are struggling to learn. Then if you check the level of literacy and numeracy competency, you will find it is weak with them. But those who are good in academic, they are strong in literacy and numeracy. Therefore, if we really make every student successful in learning and also successful in life, the foundation is strong literacy and numeracy. Especially in the early grades, literacy and numeracy is very, very important. Next. Developing numeracy skills early gives children a foundation for their learning and development. It prepares them for daily life, including general problem solving and handling the money. So it's literacy and numeracy, especially numeracy, gives develops 21st century skills among the students. Therefore, both literacy and numeracy are very important. Next. Next slide. In the Maldives, literacy rate is very high. Maldives is very high, the highest among South Asian countries. Literacy rate for adult male population is 99.78, and literacy rate for adult female population is 98.84. So both female and male in the Maldives, literacy rate is very high. But how we define literacy in 21st century is different. Masood, let's go to next slide. So this is the high time that we think about the 21st century skills. From the 21st century skills, the foundational literacies you can see, it includes the basic literacy and also the basic numeracy. Apart from that, scientific literacy comes to the list of literacy, ICT literacy, and also financial literacy, cultural and civic literacy. And again, 21st century, I think space literacy will add here. Therefore, literacy is defined a broader perspective than the past. So I can say it is not only basic literacy which is important, but all these functional literacies are very important. Next. So, before concluding this presentation, I want to tell you, learning to learn is teaching to a child how to fish rather than giving a fish. Therefore, shall we all the teachers, all the parents and policymakers, shall we keep this in mind rather than spoon feeding, rather than just making students learn? Let's make them independent learners. Give them, rather stop giving them fish, but teach them how to fish. Next. So thank you everyone for listening and watching this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rashid, for this wonderful and really thought-triggering presentation. I think coming from you at the very topmost level of education policy making, it's so refreshing and nice to hear that it is like the vision of education system should be that we create people who are independent, who can learn for the rest of their life. And the young age is where young minds are so impressionable, that what if they learn to learn at a young age, they will continue to, whether they are in any profession, they are an employee or an employer, will continue for their own development, for that of the community and for the country as well. So thank you once again for sharing these very wonderful perspectives. One question that we had regarding this amazing literacy rate in the country of Maldives. You mentioned that nearly 99.4% of the adult population 15 years and above is literate. Could you share a bit more about what has been the journey of Maldives in terms of reaching near universal literacy rate? How did it happen?
Actually, this happened in two ways. About 4 decades ago, literacy rate in the Maldives was also low as 70%. Then, while former President Mamoon was the president, he started a special program for teaching the basic literacy for adults. Almost every island, in a very wide scale, he started, or he organized teaching for adults. Fortunately, people also found it important. So people, both men and women, they attended and they become literate. So that is how the adults, got the literacy. And then in the schools, uh, every island we have schools, and government is spending a lot of money on education, and we have achieved uh, the access to education to all the students. Years before, primary education has been considered is the compulsory education, but in the Maldives, it is grade 10, now even grade 12. Therefore, school age students and those who are graduating the schools, they are also studying well. Because of that, the country has this high percentage of literacy and numeracy.
Right. That's absolutely amazing, sir. And you mentioned that it has become a right. It is like a human right for children to get the education also up to class 10th and class 12th as well.
Yes.
Right, sir. And would you like to share as to, like you mentioned that at the very top level, at the level of the topmost government, there was that, that motivation and that vision that the country should become 100% literate. So it is very important lesson for all the other countries also. But would you like to share as to how, if this is in a mission mode, then how can the people, the common people, be attracted to this mission of literacy? How do we get participation from all sections of society? If you would like to share the experience of Maldives.
Actually, when this was happening, I was also a kid. But I have seen that community leaders uh, and island chiefs and teachers and those who are literate and good in education, they try to spread education to others. And so many campaigns were also going on through radio, through TV, and making songs for encouraging people to come and learn and be literate and be empowered. So because of a lot of national level campaigns, everybody understood that he or she should be a literate. So very successfully, the program conducted. So it was a national campaign. Because of that, the goals have been achieved, and Maldives is keeping the highest literacy rate among South Asian countries. And I hope we can achieve the 100% as well.
Thank you, sir, for sharing this wonderful message about 100% literacy. It is, of course, like literacy is a major challenge for the other South Asian countries, and they can learn from the experience of Maldives also. Here, of course, at Detox, our goal is to talk about experiences, success stories of other countries, of different organizations as well. And here, if we have to say that what is one factor which makes the national mission successful, you said that government was there, the community leaders were there. So is it what is the role of the other departments of the government? If we, besides education department, do other departments of the government and other ministries also have to play a role in this literacy mission?
As I said, I was a kid during those days, but I have seen that apart from education sector, island chiefs, and other community leaders. They volunteered. Mostly those things happened through voluntary basis. And then fishermen, after coming fishing at night, they went to study. And females, after their daily walk at night, they went for the class, and they became literates. So I can say it was a very successful program conducted by President Mamoon's government. It was 30 years before.
Right, sir. Thank you for sharing that perspective. And here, I would like to also ask you, sir, about you mentioned in your presentation a very important focus that our education should have, which is making learners that are independent. They should. You talked about that they should not be given, like this spoon feeding, and they should have this approach where they're able to learn by themselves also with minimal support. And of course the role of the teacher has to change for this. So in your opinion, sir, how has the government or the experience in Maldives been regarding teacher training and teacher capacity building? What initiatives have led to the success of getting this approach within the teaching process, that learners become they learn to learn?
In fact, in the Maldives, we are trying to transform pedagogy and assessment. In this year, we have conducted project-based learning training sessions in all the government schools. But one session is not enough. Multiple sessions are required because traditionally every teacher was teaching teacher-centered and just rote learning and memorizing and checking the content. But now it's time to transform the pedagogy, making students independent and autonomous learners, and give them authority to choose what kind of learning strategies they can choose. So this should be just like when you go a restaurant, you get your menu, then you can decide what food you want. So to satisfy your hunger. Same way in the school, teacher should tell what students should do and then give choice. Students can choose. Some students can learn very easily by watching a video. The others can learn very easily by doing hands-on. And whereas other students want to see and read, and the others, they won't listen. So this understanding we need to have. When students have the choice to choose the learning strategy, their preferred learning style, every student will be successful. They will feel very much satisfied. They can feel learning is fun and learning is enjoyable. We should not control the students too much. You can see the traditional teaching. Teacher is the commander in the classroom. Students are not allowed even to move. We have to stop that, and we have to give flexibility and autonomy to the students.
Right, sir. Thank you for answering that question. One question which we also had was regarding the language or the medium of instruction. So Maldives, of course, has predominantly the Dhivehi language, and in terms of education in the schools. What has your experience been, sir? The experience of the country in terms of what should be the language policy in terms of medium of instruction?
In fact, all our schools, the medium of instruction is English. Dhivehi, our mother tongue, is taught as subject. And then in the local language, we are teaching 3 subjects. One is Quran, and second one is Islamic studies, and the third one is Divehi language, our language. These three subjects are taught in Divehi. The rest of all the subjects, the medium of instruction is English. So in the Maldives, the school graduates, they can speak in English very well. Even the students who failed in IGC, Cambridge IGCSE English exam, but still they have the functional level of understanding of English.
Okay, sir. Right. And is English in the experience the English is introduced at the very foundational stages in from grade one itself?
No, in foundation stage, LKG and UKG students are taught by using the mother tongue. From grade 1 onwards, English medium starts.
Okay, sir. So thank you for sharing your perspectives on this. One more question that we had, sir, was regarding how the role of technology has also evolved in education. And we have seen across the world after the pandemic that there is more adoption of digital learning, online learning, and things like this. Sir, what is your assessment of how important is the role of technology in education, and how has been the experience of Maldives with regards to digital education and online education?
Technology, the role of technology in education is very important. It is unavoidable. During the pandemic, with the help of technology, we were able to continue learning. If we don't have technology, when students were at home, students would not be able to learn, and we would not be able to give access to learning. Uh, I think almost whole world, like 1.5 years from universities to school education, it is the technology which was the mode or pathway to give access to all students. So the role of technology is very important. When we are providing education through technology, what is lacking is teachers are not really trained to teach through technology, because almost everywhere teachers were trained to teach physical classes. Therefore, online pedagogy and online assessment is very important. And another issue is uh, due to internet speed, internet access, or not having a device, the digital divide became an issue. So it is an issue where policy makers, school principals, parents, the community, everyone should concern. Although technology is very important, these issues should be solved. Provide access to education through technology. Those students of families with low income, low socio-economic uh, development, uh, others should help them to get access. And then another thing is, as I said, teacher training is very important in online teaching and learning.
Hmm. Right, sir. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on this. Here, we would like to also invite the convener here and lead worker at Global Dream Literacy Program, Dr. Sunita Gandhi. Dr. Gandhi, welcome to the talk. And we've just heard Dr. Rashid sharing a wonderful presentation, and the phenomenal journey of Maldives to become a near 100% literate country, almost 100% literacy both for men and women. So a lot of lessons that, of course, other South Asian countries can learn from this. Your thoughts and questions.
I think it's been phenomenal listening to Dr. Abdullah Rashid Ahmad. Um, uh, there's such a lot of insight in his presentation, a lot of higher order thinking that's going on at the world level. I can see that Maldives is striving to accomplish, like project-based learning. All the teachers have received training in that, and now the next level and the next level will always be there. But it is truly remarkable that the entire country is literate. I think a lot of countries can learn from that. I also know that Maldives has amongst the highest per capita incomes amongst the SAARC countries. So there's something that you're doing that's magical, that's different, that we all need to learn from. I was just curious, what is, you did mention teacher training just towards the end here. And like for blended learning, you've mentioned that there have been obviously issues related to the receiving end, not having a device or connectivity, but also at the teacher end, being quickly equipped with how to assess, how to use online blended learning tools. So I was just wondering how you went about training your teachers. What was your take on that?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sunita Gandhi. We put a lot of efforts to provide training to the teachers. Last year, we have trained 4,000 teachers as Google certified educators because as an online platform, our teachers are using Google Classroom. So 4,000 teachers certified, the level one Google certified education, and some have completed even level 2 as well. And this year we have planned to provide Google certified education training another 2,000 teachers. So by end of this year, 6,000 teachers. That would be around 70 to 80% of our teacher population would do that. And also we are providing online learning pedagogy and assessment training in collaboration with UNESCO Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Education and Peace. MGIP, we have started a program called Digital Teacher. Through this program, we will train 1,000 teachers. Teachers from all the schools, based on the number of teachers working in that school, every school will get an opportunity. Then those teachers who complete this course, they will assist other teachers in that particular school. And from NI, National Institute of Education, also we are providing training. In this training, we introduce teachers different digital tools and apps to engage students in online learning. Just using a presentation and just talking through online platform will be useless, and it will be a waste. A teacher should ensure that engaging the students, it should be interesting. Students should be feel fun and should be engaged in learning. So we are providing that training to our teachers.
That's phenomenal. Really, really appreciate that what you're doing there. What having done so many things right, what in the coming future are your challenges and opportunities? One being teacher training, of course, you're now getting them up to speed. You've done a lot already, and the next phase and next phase, you're doing covering all the teachers. Level one Google certified trainer is absolutely brilliant. It's a certification which makes them feel good about themselves. But if you look at the education scenario as a whole, what are the challenges and the opportunities henceforth for you?
Uh, we do have a lot of challenge, and one challenge we are having is shortage of availability of competent teachers from the Maldives. Even currently, we have 2,500 Indian teachers working in our schools. So recruiting the teachers and providing them training is a challenge. And then some remote islands where population is less, getting competent teachers for those schools is also a challenge. And also, we have noticed that in these past few years, very highly academic students, they are not much interested to do the teacher training course. So we are very worried about this. But if we reflect back about 2, 3 decades before, uh, the good students, those who are highly intelligent and those who are good in academic, they choose to be a teacher. But now this is also a challenge. And then we have opportunities like government of Maldives is investing on education. and our president make education as the highest priority. Uh, some examples include in the Maldives, you have free degree in any private college or public universities. Any course from the Maldives at degree level, it is free. So government pay for that, and also government is investing a lot on teacher training and also school infrastructure. Therefore, we can say we have opportunities and we have challenges as well.
Very well said, sir. Over to Mashood now as the host of the event.
Thank you, Dr. Abdul Rashid sir, for your thoughts, and Dr. Smita Gandhi for your questions. I think we would like to give the last word to Dr. Rashid only. And so, what would your message be to the other countries? We know that after the pandemic, there's a lot of children have been are at the risk of dropping out of school, and there's learning poverty is being estimated will increase from 53% to 63% in the middle and low income countries. So what would your message be to the education ministers and the presidents and the prime ministers of other countries? How do we go ahead from here and make sure the future of our children and the education is secure?
Okay, very good question. As we all know, due to school closure, because of the pandemic, students stayed at home for quite a long period of time. As a result, learning loss is a fact. We should believe that learning loss is real. When students come back after the pandemic, we have to see the level of learning loss happen to different students, especially as we are talking about literacy and numeracy. Schools should check level of learning loss from literacy and numeracy by giving a diagnostic test. We have to diagnose them, and then we have to address to fill the learning gap. We all know that learning is a continuum process. Students learn basic things, and advanced things comes top of basic things. When learning loss happens, some of the concepts students have already learned in past years, if they may have forgotten it, there is no way that you can teach the new concept. Therefore, before teaching the new concepts, what schools should do is to identify what students have forgotten. Then, as I said, this can be done by giving a diagnostic test. After diagnosing, after identifying the learning loss, second should be schools should make plans to address these gaps, to fill the gaps. This can be done through remediation programs. A very well structured remediation program is required for every school to fill the learning gap. And accordingly, teaching learning should be adapted according to the situation, because just completing syllabus will not help student to learn. We should customize it. We should teach the students according to where they are, especially after the pandemic. Therefore, my message to every educational leaders, every principal, every teacher is use this process. When you meet your students, please diagnose and understand the level of learning loss and address this learning loss. Then only you can teach. For example, if a student have forgotten the journal entry, or if the profit and loss account, then how can you teach the final account? Or if student have forgotten how to construct a sentence, how can this student make a paragraph, write a paragraph? Therefore, addressing learning loss is very, very important. And at last but not least, as I have highlighted from my presentation, we have to stop rote learning, memorizing without understanding, teacher-centered controlling. It was 19th century, 21st century. We need creative entrepreneurs. This can happen by giving autonomy to the students, by making students independent. we should not always keep students depending on the teachers. We should not control. We should not assume that teacher is the commander in chief of the classroom, but teacher should be a facilitator, and student can lead their own learning. They can find information from different sources. Previously, teacher was only the source of information. That is why teacher centered. But now teacher is not only the source of information. Information is readily available everywhere. And we have to teach the students how to access the information, how to utilize information, how to apply the information, and we should make our students independent. So that's my message for everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Abdullah Rashid, for that wonderful message and for this really thought-provoking presentation. We hope that all those who have joined us live and who will be watching this in the video are able to learn from what Dr. Rashid said and also use this philosophy in education contexts across the world. Once again, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you in the next session of Detox.